All right. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Matt Bellman. Very thankful to be able to share my story with everyone today. I am 42. I'm a father of two young children, blessed with a beautiful boy, a beautiful little girl. They both kind of started baseball, so I have begun the sports dad era of life, which has got to be by far the greatest era of my life. And I couldn't be more thankful to be sober and completely have a base in sobriety as I move forward into that. I've been sober for, it's funny, it's actually hard for me to remember. I've actually been sober for around a year and a half or 2.5 years. It's hard for me to remember, but nevertheless, I'll take you guys back a little bit to the beginning of my story, which was I had a great childhood growing up, great family who supported me. I got to do all of the classic Wonder Years types of things, lots of good friends and family that supported me, lots of good quality family. And I decided that apparently that wasn't enough for me, that I had to go out and experiment and throw myself to the wolves. And I find it a pure lottery ticket that I'm even sitting here to tell this story today. I put myself in uncountable terrible situations where I should have, could have, would have, and did put myself in terrible circumstances, terrible results, set myself back massive portions of my life. And I always say that in the light that I have found an incredible life. And so those things were, to a certain degree, part of the train tracks to bring me to where I'm at today. But I don't ever for a moment think that that is an excuse to have made some of the terrible decisions I made with my life. I mean, I was a felon at age 14 years old. I had 2 DUIs as I went through my 20s. I think I got one when I was 20 and one when I was 30. The amount of times I drove under the influence surpassed counting. I feel that if my children ever did any of the things that I did, I don't know how I would struggle to not judge them in a negative way. And so I try to always keep in perspective the fact that I wasted away massive amounts of my life. Wasn't until I became nearly 40 where I was able to actually get my hands on the wheel and stop. I mean, I did crazy things, abusing alcohol and then drugs on down the line, stopping short of extreme drugs. I abused alcohol to the nth degree. I kind of grew up in a redneck culture, and that was, if you found the right people, that was looked highly upon. But I found myself in my 20s with a massive marijuana grow room in my basement, single, without a job, and basically being like a professional criminal. And thank God at some point, and I was not sober, I decided to take a career. I just became fed up with it. And as the time kind of went by, I was lucky enough to meet my wife, and we became pregnant with our son. And it's funny, even a couple years of his life went by, even as I started putting things like, the criminal enterprise away and in the past, I found myself trying to be a role model for my wife, for my son, and for my daughter, and still abusing alcohol, marijuana, going to work under the influence of marijuana, smoking weed all day at work, even going so far as to define myself in those things, listening to music that would support those mindsets, watching shows, just kind of living that life. And it's funny, I actually even began a exercise program, a fairly extreme exercise program, boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, wrestling, all while still abusing drugs and alcohol. And I could just tell looking back that there was a massive part of me that was just so sick of that chain around my neck. that I was just starting to break out from the inside out. And it's just absolute lottery ticket stuff right there. I don't really understand how I got to that point running both ways in an opposite direction at the same time. But I think I was fortunate enough to have some positive influences in my life growing up that they, kind of deeply embedded themselves. And so eventually, as I gave myself enough time, some of them showed up. And so my heart goes out to people who may not have had those underlying positive factors in life and have to dig down and create their own base of positivity or ability, or just of pure sobriety and just a ground to stand on, because we don't all get that. I absolutely accept the fact that I was given a handful of aces, and I didn't even really start playing them until incredibly recently. So as I said, I'm 42. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I didn't become sober until roughly, we'll just say 2 years ago. And it was funny, I had a coworker, a kid from the gym who eventually became my coworker, come to my house. We're watching MMA. And it's funny, I remember even drinking a beer, and we would go upstairs to do like some burpees while we're waiting for the UFC main event to come on. And it was like the only time I ever puked doing an exercise routine. And I don't even think of that very often, but it's funny how that comes to mind. But that really laid the groundwork as he introduced me to some online personalities that eventually became, a group of people that I really look up to. So just to give a shout out to the people who have had incredible impact on my life, you have, of course, Wes Watson, who I understand he does not connect to many people. I'm fortunate enough that I can connect with him. But I think everyone out there, if you search hard enough, you are going to find some personalities online that connect with the struggle that you've gone through, with the mindset that you're hoping to cultivate. Wes just happened to connect for me on so many different levels. And then as I went down that rabbit hole of diet and exercise, which is really the platform that he preaches a line of discipline, mental discipline on. There were other people I found that had an incredible impact on me. You've got Art from Iron Wolf. And then of course, you've got the standalone incredible people of our time. You've got your David Goggins, people like that. So when I think of 3 people that have impacted me, those would be the top 3. But then, you keep digging. And so anyway, so as I became sober, just to kind of tell the story of how that happened, was we started going on vacations as a family. And I remember being in Florida, and I had this nice routine of going to Florida, getting a bottle of tequila, keep it in the freezer, drinking beer all day, and then shooting tequila from the time I woke up till the time I went to bed. And I just started realizing, I don't even know when, I'm sure it was before, like, hey man, you argue with your wife a lot over what? Are you going to define yourself by that? Is that how you're going to go into the grave, is by arguing with your wife, who's the mother of your children, in front of your children as they become older? Is that how you're going to define yourself? And then eventually one day I looked at this goddamn bottle in my hand and said, this has got to be the most massive reason. And it's funny, as I had gotten a DUI like when I was 20, and a DUI when I was 30, they put you through some alcohol information courses to try to shake some damn sense in you before you go out there and kill somebody or kill yourself, to just give you some information. And it's funny, that information is absolute gold. You've got to inform your mind about the substances you're putting in your body, whether that's creatine or alcohol or marijuana, whatever it is. Get some scientific information, get some real factual information about what those things are doing to you, because alcohol is a depressant. It's going to depress you. You may feel good for 10 minutes, but it's going to, for every high, there's an equal and opposite low. And so at one point just was able to clearly see, if I can get this alcohol out of my life, it's going to take an incredible amount of negativity out of my life. And so we're on Florida on vacation. I took that bottle of tequila, I took that case of beer, they both went in the trash can, and I never looked back. And it's funny, over the past, whatever it is, 2 years, I've found this incredible sensitivity now to that negativity in others, and I can't stand it. If there's people that I'm around who are close to me and my family, if I even see them drinking, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be pretty judgmental within myself. I'm not gonna necessarily vocalize it, because I don't know if I've really cultivated that strength enough yet, or if I have that value to people, which I've got to build up over time. But I know for a fact, when I see people drinking, or the very rare case, if I see people using drugs, which is just going to be smoking weed, but let's just stick to alcohol as the main culprit here. If I see someone drinking, I know if I see them tomorrow, they're going to be in an opposite mood. And I know that that holds true for myself. And so I have no interest, no time, no energy. I've got no time to waste, and no days to get back. I gave enough over to that demon. And I'm fortunate to be sitting here even telling a story about it. But as I was saying, I've just developed this incredible sensitivity to that negativity in others that comes as a other flip side of the coin of alcohol. And I used to think, oh, some people are good at drinking, some people are bad at drinking. I'm just bad at drinking, and I just really think that's just bullshit from top to bottom. Alcohol is a depressant, it's a drug, it is an absolute poison. I despise it on every level. I find no positive side of it. People going out and having a good time while they drink, it makes no sense to me, because you're going to pay that bill on the other side. And honestly, you're kind of wasting time at that time. And that may be a shallow perspective, but hey, it's mine and I'm proud of it. So I was on vacation in Florida. I luckily threw that alcohol in the trash can and immediately just started having all of this extra energy. Where does this all come from? Well, guess what, genius? You've been spending your entire life spinning your wheels. So now you have at least somewhat of an engine that you've built up, even if it was in a negative way, to use in a positive way. And so now I get to exercise every day. I get to take advantage of all my moments. I get to take advantage of all my memories, all the experiences I have. I get to log them. I get to remember them. I think back to my 20s and 30s and teens when I was drinking and using, and the memories are few and far between, and the few that they are fairly blurred, and not necessarily ones to be proud of. I mean, I didn't even really get to make any marks in life except in a negative way, as I was drinking and using. So, I pretty much didn't even start living an adult life until I was 40. I'll turn 43 here in November. To say I couldn't be happier, that's not necessarily true. I don't think quitting drinking is the key to happiness. It's all about what you do from that point. I think it's absolutely just like building a foundation to your house. Having a concrete floor is not going to give you a beautiful house, but you're not going to have a beautiful house most likely without a concrete floor. So I look at sobriety as a base, a requirement. It is an absolute most simple thing possible. It's just, and maybe that's not fair to say. Maybe saying it's the most simple thing possible isn't true. We've all put ourselves through different things. I think I've found a simplicity in sobriety that I greatly appreciate. I think that might be a little bit of a more accurate way to put it, because everyone has different experiences they've gone through to bring them through to that point of wanting to be sober, being able to be sober, and then actually living a life in that sobriety. But I do view it as a non-negotiable. To think of it as something that you can do partially is a joke. I mean, it is a drug. It's kind of designed to get into your psyche. And I know for a fact, if I was to take a drink today, I know not only from personal experience, but I know from factual, just things that have been taught to me. I know if I start drinking, not only am I going to drink I'm gonna drink as if I never stopped drinking, and those are kind of like alcohol 101 basics. Same thing with marijuana, even more so because I've used marijuana probably more than alcohol. So if I was to go smoke some weed right now, probably within about a week, I would probably be smoking. It's such an incredible amount of weed. I would probably just be useless to everyone around me except myself, and I would only live to serve myself and to serve that addiction, and I would only be functional in life enough to serve that addiction and whatever thing I could, and I would essentially just become not only a waste but a liability to all those around me. So my sobriety really gives me just an opportunity each day to be an asset to those around me, and then it's up to me to stand up in life and create something each day off of that. And every day isn't some incredible success, but every day being sober, built one day on top of the other, increases my chance to be that asset to those around me and to my children, and be able to go to baseball games with my son and give him a true positive support, rather than being out there faking it to make it, and being some fake dad. And then it gives me the ability to visualize greater things I never would have visualized, and to think about what the ultimate goals for my life are in the view that I have faith that I can reach those things. It would be such a travesty to, in my psyche, to be building up, oh, these are the things I could be if I wasn't such a goddamn failure, with these drugs and alcohol. But it's such a wonderful thing to be able to stand on that concrete floor of sobriety and be able to say, these are the things I could imagine I could make with the rest of my years on this earth. And I actually know down in the depths of my soul that I can reach out and take those things. And I can give my absolute best to go out and make those things possible. And then beyond me, because it's not even about me, for my family, I get to put that forward to my son. I get to put that forward to people I've never met. I get to put that forward to coworkers and friends. And I get to be somewhat of a light, to those around me, whether I know them or not. And so eventually, exercise led me to sobriety, and then it let me really focus on being able to push myself physically. And I think that that's a massive part of it, because I think sobriety, you're gonna have to point your ship into the wind, and take some tension on in life. It's definitely not about running from anything. Finding sobriety is going to be all about just being able to stand up and put your arms out and carry a portion of, of the work that we, the society, take on. And so you're going to have to put yourself out there. And that's the way I look at it for myself, is I have to stand up each day, take on as much as possible, realize that I'm going to have to put myself in an uncomfortable situation, and those things become second nature. It's just every day. And all I can think of is, luckily, I have a couple of children of my own that I get to have that just immediate gratification of seeing, when they're at that young age, of seeing that they benefit 24 hours a day from my sobriety and from my regiment, routine, and discipline. And I can't wait to see them grow up in that. But I also know that it's not just about me and my family. I know that it's also greatly about those around me that I know and I don't know. So, those are kind of some of my experiences. I really look forward to the next 10 years of my life more than I ever had, even 20 years. And that's really where I stand today. I know that as you get older and time starts flying by at an incredible pace, that living in the moment and being present is critical, but it gives you also the ability to kind of see, hey, there's a possibility of some greater things coming. And we all know that life is fragile and anything can happen, especially these days with the way we live. No one's guaranteed tomorrow. And so it's not about selling out for today, it's just about appreciating today. And that's really where I'm at. I try to just be thankful for the ability to be thankful for each day, be thankful for my children, for my wife, and have a glimpse of what they might have coming towards them in the future. Because given them a household that uh, they can be safe and knowing there's some predictability here, there's some consistency here, there's some dependability here with my parents. Uh, I really have high hopes for my children. I know that as they go into their teenage years, I kind of know what to expect. It's funny, but we'll see what happens. I'm just going to live each day and appreciate it. And being sober has been incredible. I do burpees every day on GP Life, which is part of the Mighty Networks. You can download that app. You can go on GP Life. You can find me in any of the burpee groups, or you can find others like me. Many of which, if not all of which, are usually going to be sober. It's tough to drink some beer and go do 100 burpees. So if you're looking to find some other sober people who are active and positive and pushing themselves and are functional in their sobriety, find Mighty Networks app, go to GP Life Forum, join. It's a small cost. It might be a $27 entrance fee. I guarantee you that it's worth every penny. You'll find tons of sober people there. You'll find in the events list, you'll find burpee groups. You'll find me there. You'll find other sober people there. There's many forums on there to reach out to other people who are going through not just the struggles, of course, of sobriety, but of finding sobriety, but the struggles of life from that point, because that's really where you are choosing to enter the arena of life, is from sobriety. That's where you're saying, I'm taking off all these crutches, I'm taking off all these handicaps, I'm pulling the hood off my head, and I'm going to step into life. And then the real challenges begin in general, because you're going to be willing to take them on. Not to say there aren't challenges for everybody through life, because there are, of course, but once you're sober, at least what I should say is once I became sober, I was able to find many more challenges waiting for me than I did before, and I welcome them all. So again, my name's Matt. I look forward to meeting anybody there who wants to come meet us there. We'll be there doing burpees, 5 a.m. Eastern time, 7 days a week. There are other burpee groups throughout the day. You can always reach out to me and message me on that forum. Of course, my name is Matthew Bellman. You can reach out to me on Instagram and Facebook. Fairly basic. You're not going to see a blue check mark on my name. You're not going to see anything fancy. You might see some burpee routines in my profiles. Feel free to scroll through and make any comments you wish. But if this reaches out and helps anybody, I couldn't be more thankful for that. So with that, I will sign off and say much love, much respect to you guys, and hope to see you in the future. And you've got it in you. So we love you and hope the best for you. So thank you very much.